All right, looks like we're live. Let's make sure this is going out okay on the old YouTubes there. Come on. Come on. All right, sounds like it's all right. So, right before I got on here, I just watched a new extended trailer for that Sonic Forces game. Holy shit, that looks terrible. Wow. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I really, really, really hope Sonic Forces just absolutely bombs. Just sells jack shit, is a commercial and critical failure. Because then maybe, like, Sonic Team doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. And they haven't, pretty much since the Genesis was a thing. Like, that was when they knew what the hell they were doing, not now. So I hope, this just bombs and Sega just decides to take Christian Whitehead and whoever the hell else was involved in Mania and say, you know what, you're Sonic Team now. Have at it. Because Sonic Forces, it honest to God, looks like everything wrong with modern Sonic rolled into one. You have a really obnoxiously grim-dark storytelling. You have you have piss poor 3D physics already. From the little bits of gameplay we've seen, the physics look fucking wonky. And you even have Original the character officially put into canon. Yeah. Sonic Forces needs to bomb hard. That would be the best thing that could happen to Sega. And there are some talented people working on Sonic Team, and they should just be doing other shit at this point. They clearly don't have the ability, or probably even the desire to make Sonic games anymore. Yeah, I'm really hoping that bombs. It'd be the best thing that could happen to Sega. Let's see, anything going on in the chat here? So he says we need to put Chris Chan in charge of Sonic Team. He couldn't do any worse. Sonic Forces is the Miles Morales of Sonic, there to appease retards. It's funny. There's this storyline in Marvel going on right now called Generations, and it's a series of one-shots, and each one, the premise is the same. The SJW replacement goes back in time and meets the actual fucking character, which is almost kind of silly because in some regards, they have met the. I mean, Peter Parker is still actively Spider-Man, even while Miles Morales is the other Spider-Man. But anyways, these books are literally all the same. It's just 22 pages or however long it is of, well, really the new one is even more awesome, and even the old guy agrees. And they're just ass. And what was really interesting is I stopped by my local comic book store today, the main one I go to. And I don't often go to the racks. You know what I mean? Like where the newer comics are. Because if I'm there, it's usually to pick up whatever's actually new for the week. And I have a subscription box. And then, I look up at the what's new this week thing. Anything, see anything of interest? Yes, no, maybe. And then I get my books and I go. If I browse, I'm usually browsing through like the trade paperback reprints and stuff like that. The main comic store in my area doesn't have a very good back issue bin. But I'm never looking at the new quote unquote shit that isn't up on the wall, that this week's new shit. So I actually wandered back to that section today. And what did I see? But stacks and stacks and stacks of every fucking one of these Generations one-shots. I could have gotten them all there. Could have gotten them all. This quote-unquote big event, whatever, just sitting there. Same with Secret Empire, just sitting there. Stacks and stacks of each issue, just sitting there. So yeah, I mean it's not selling. It's now the numbers will appear higher than they actually are because all those fucking copies just sitting on those racks, they when the sales numbers get crunched at the end of the month, it will appear that all those sold because those sales numbers keep track of what comic book stores buy, not what actually sells. So he says Secret Empire is secret because nobody wants to know. Yeah, I still don't really know how it ended. Um, Somebody says Bechtloff doesn't like racks. Pretty gay, if you ask me. Well, I guess I can finally join the alt right proper. How about that? Let's see what else we got here. Bechtloff, at least retailers will be able to keep warm in the winter. Yeah, I often joke about the mid '90s comic crash that comic book stores were burning copies of Deathmate to stay warm. And that's what it's going to be this time. Comic book stores are going to be burning copies of America and Miss Marvel to stay warm. It's coming. I mean, it's basically already here, and everyone's in denial about it. But a comic crash is coming. Now, right now, there's broader interest in the characters and stuff, so comic book stores are able to sell shit like merchandise and T-shirts and reprints of old comics and shit like that. But the new comics are not fucking moving. Yeah, it's going to be ugly. Now DC is also holding things up. Their sales are actually rising. Believe it or not, Marvel, you can see sales go up. I know, it's shocking, but it's true. Somebody says the whole Western world is on the verge of a crash. It's amazing no one notices. Yeah, I mean, frankly, the only Trump bought us some time, and I'm not sure how much time. It maybe a couple of years, maybe only really measured in months. But we'd already be at a collapse if Hillary was in charge. So I mean, he bought us time, but somebody says I picked up Dark Arc today. Pretty good. Yeah, I picked it up yesterday too. I don't know if you picked it up because of my recommendation, but I got it Wednesday, not yesterday, and I liked it a lot. I actually there's this little thing called Comic Shop News, and it's this little free like newsletter thing that comic book stores give out. And I mean, I've been reading it for, I mean, shit. I think when I moved up to Pennsylvania, so 98, 99, something like that, when I started reading it, nearly 20 years. And it just comes out weekly, and it's just write-ups on new comics coming out. And I saw an interview with the guy for Dark Arc, and it sounded really interesting. So I told him to put it on my box, and I got it this week, and pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Yeah, Dark Arc I highly recommend. Um, what else is worth reading? As far as Marvel, the only thing I would actually really recommend is Venomverse. Venomverse is good. Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows and Scarlet Spider are okay. If you're a Spidey fan like me and absolutely want to get your fix, um, that's it for Marvel though. That's all that Marvel is worth fucking reading. Michael, if Captain Cummings did a review of Batman Detective Comics where DC subtly hints that transgenderism was a mental illness. That's kind of cool. I don't know what issue that is, but I might just go out and pick it up just to support it. Because, yeah, that really is a fucking mental illness. So he says, problem is the time Trump bought us is being pissed away with Walgreens tiki torches and butt sex. Well, you know what? You don't have to piss it away that way. That's the thing. Maybe you can't avert the crash, but you can brace for it. You got more time to brace for it. I can't give these alt-right idiots, and it's just there really are elements of it that it's just racial hatred, and not all of it. William Rohn, Craig Langley, my former sidekick. I just saw him on Twitter today, and he's like, "I don't even care about IQ. I'd rather live next to a 90 IQ white guy than a 110 IQ black guy." And I'm like, what is the racial element that you think is? I mean, what wasn't it that all these blacks have low IQs? That's what we were all on about on the alt-right for so long, and now that doesn't even matter. Just constant fucking moving bar. What you go ahead and think Movie Bob's your brother. I don't have time for this shit anymore. Yeah, race realism is definitely something you need to be aware of in this world. But that's not the same thing as racial hatred, much as some people want to conflate it that way. Some people on both sides of that issue, interestingly enough. Yeah, it's just people that worship their race. There's no other way to put it. And I'm not making an idol out of that. And then they want to be like, well, they're your brother. No, they're not. Movie Bob's not my brother. The anal atheist is not my brother. You know. John McCain's not my brother. No, none of those people are my brother. Yeah. I would rather live next to a K-type black man than an R-type white man. It's that simple. Now, you can look at statistical realities of races and say, well, a white man is perhaps more statistically likely to be all K-type on you. But at the end of the day, you do got to deal with people as individuals. And, yeah. Somebody says, Bechtloff, did you see Irini's last stream where he talked about Forney's last article about the alt-right infiltrator who smoked blow to get into the alt? Oh yeah, some alt-right infiltrator was sucking dick to get in there and all. I think it was on that stream, if it's the same stream. I was on one of Davis's streams towards the end. Let's see. Bechtloff, years ago when the alt-right was forming, it was for anyone who saw the truth. Now it's for R-type homosexual Nazi LARPers. Pretty much. Bunch of slack-jawed faggots in here, as Jesse Ventura once said. Yeah, I really got no time for that shit anymore. And I don't know. I was in this private Facebook group, and they were some sort of other bullshit going on in the alt-right. I don't know, some infighting that I think the organization that Spencer and Daniel Freeberg have. And I just was like, pardon me, in the comments, I'm like, I disavow the alt-right. No, wait, disavow isn't the right word. What's the word for when you find somebody cringy as fuck and you pretend like you don't hear them when they say hi to you in public? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Um, Somebody said it's good that all the wiser thinkers have moved on. Yeah, I'm honestly embarrassed that I ever even flirted with the idea of having that label. Let's see. Oh, pardon me. Wrong day. I think I did mention, and I'll mention it again tomorrow night because more people listen to the Saturday show. Sometime next month, the Saturday show is likely to be moving to a different time of the week. I haven't decided when exactly. I'll figure that out. But the big regular Saturday show, I'm thinking Wednesday, but we'll see. Let's see. Um, Bechtloff, might I suggest not Thursday or Sunday? Or is that when Davis does his stream? Yeah, I'll try and make sure I don't step on Davis. Let's see. Beckloff, did you listen to Politics Ghost? I don't really know who that is, so no. No, I guess I did not. Beckloff, what is your theological opinion on where civilization is headed? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a broad question. You know, it's just civilizations come and go. You know, ours might be going, um, but others will take its place. Somebody says, "Did you get the job?" Did you get the job? And I did. It is a part-time job. I haven't found a full-time job yet, but this is definitely a step up from the unemployment. Plus, the unemployment's supposed to end sometime here in the fall, and I mean, I think you can apply for like extensions, but you know, I'm a white straight male, so I don't really have any faith in my ability to get an extension. Um, so this will be a step up from the unemployment, and you know, hopefully I'll find a full-time job soon, but this should be good in the meantime. But it won't start until October because I have I had to do a drug test, I had to do a background check, all that kind of bullshit, and then I had to wait for the next orientation because they do a whole bunch of people in chunks on orientations, and so my orientation will be October 5th. And then from there, it'll be primarily working weekends with some weekdays. So, but yeah, I don't have any faith in my ability to extend the unemployment, and I don't like in any ways. I prefer to just work for money. Uh, but yeah, it'll interfere with the Saturday show, so the Saturday show will get moved. I really got to get off my ass and record that Castlevania audio for the VidMe channel. I don't know why I've been slacking on that, but Beckloff, I'm sure Sweden and Germany will fall. Maybe France. I have hope for the United Kingdom. I don't have any hope for the United Kingdom. But think America will also fall due to disunity. I don't know. I think I have more hope for America than I do the United Kingdom. Um, so he says, do a Zelda 2-1-2. That was a cool game. Zelda 2 is not a bad game. It's definitely a flawed game. I don't know if it has quite the same negative reputation that Castlevania 2 does, though. I might do a Zelda 2. We'll see. To be honest, I've never beaten Zelda 2. I had it as a kid, but I never got all that far in it. I don't think I got past Death Mountain as a kid. And I mean, I beat the original as a kid. After Castlevania, the next in the that bad series, I think it's going to be Bubsy, but also might be the first Ninja Turtle game. I was thinking of doing Nightmare on Elm Street because I think that's actually a pretty good game as far as a horror game on the NES. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's not that bad. I say it's actually pretty damn good. Now, I am a Freddy guy, so I'm a fan of Freddy Krueger, so that kind of has me a bit biased. But I don't know if it has that huge of a negative reputation. It just has I mean, I'm not trying to just like do games the Angry Video Game Nerd reviewed. Now, a lot of them fall into that because there was just a lot of copycatters who were like, yeah, Castlevania 2 sucks. And the thing about Bubsy, and that's actually going to be an interesting episode because that game actually is that bad. It's just people kind of get wrong why it's that bad. Bubsy isn't. I mean, Bubsy is very flawed in character design and level design, all that stuff. Mechanically, Bubsy is very flawed, but see, people talk about that more because it sounds less superficial than pointing out the real reason everybody just utterly despises that game, and that's Bubsy himself. Nothing about the world, nothing about the character, nothing about the overall presentation is appealing. And if there's nothing about it that connects to you emotionally, ultimately you are just pushing dots around on a screen. That's the real problem with Bubsy. That's why this remake or this reboot of Bubsy is likely to fail. Because you can solve all the mechanical problems with Bubsy. You can solve all the gameplay problems with Bubsy. And the best you can hope for is a forgettable platformer. Shut up, little dog. God, you whiny little brat. Let's see. The dudes with the jetpacks and lasers that kill you every time. Not sure. Is that in Bubsy? Those little aliens that were after balls of yarn in there. Like I'm gonna play through it again. But lay down, you little brat. Um, Bechtloff's beating his dog again. No, it's my dad's dog. My dog was way cooler. Bechtloff, your opinion on the upcoming Infinity War movies? Hey, they look pretty good. Let's see. think the dog is growing on you. Not really. I mean, I'm a dog person. I like dogs in general, but shut up, you little brat. Darkseid has a cooler motivation than Thanos. Not really. I think wanting to fuck the embodiment of death is a lot cooler than just wanting to enslave the universe. 1 second, folks. I'm going to murder this dog. All right, I switched his head around 180. That ought to fix it. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody's. So he says, my cavalier is here wondering where the fuck the other dog sounds is coming from. Press F for Bechtloff's dog. Plot twist, the dog kills him and takes over the show. No, I just, he has a little crate that he sleeps in. And he prefers sitting up on the big recliner chair. So I just took him out of the crate and put him on the recliner chair. It ought to shut him up. Somebody says, think they're going to introduce death as a character in the Infinity War movies? I'm not really sure. I would kind of hope so. But then, you know, they already are emphasizing the Asgardian goddess of death in the new... and she's not even really the goddess of death in Marvel Comics. She's more just, you know, the goddess of the Asgardian version of hell. But yeah, I'm not sure where they're going with it, but I think it'll be pretty solid. Let's see. Bechtloff, share a picture of your dog and compete with Space Dog. He's not my dog. My dog is dead. Yeah, my dog is dead. I think they'll introduce Fin Fang Foom in Asgard. I'd love to have Fin Fang Foom in a movie. That would be cool. Bechtloff, why isn't Black Lives Matter at a chimp out lately? I don't know. I guess George Soros isn't paying for anymore. Bechtloff, what do you think of DC saying the next Green Lantern movie will be about Hal Jordan and John Stewart as a Lethal Weapon buddy cop style cop movie? That would be pretty good. Cool. I could get behind that. Now, I mean, I don't have any faith in their ability to do it well because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this current DC cinematic universe, Man of Steel was okay. Wonder Woman was really good. And the other two movies in it so far have sucked. And Justice League looks like it's going to suck. So, let's see. I mean, you know, but again, I'm one of the people that like the original Green Lantern movie. So he says, do a fucking Martian Manhunter movie. Sadly, they're not going to do that because instead would rather have Cyborg in the Justice League because that makes a lot of fucking sense. Let's see. I mean, I see a Justice League movie and I'm like, I want at least the big five, if not the big seven. I want Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and also I'd want Aquaman and Martian Manhunter. But at the very least, the big five. And I'm looking at these Justice League trailers. I'm like, this is fucking lame. Yeah. They had taken their time, done some real thought into it. They could have maybe outdone Avengers, but somebody says, oh shit, I forgot about that. Bechtloff thinks Green Lantern is better than all three Nolan Batman movies. Are you fucking high, Bechtloff? Dude, the Nolan Batman movies are weak. Let's be fucking real. Every single time I see them, they get worse. They don't age well at all. They're pompous. They're up their own ass. They're Batman movies that are afraid to be Batman movies. That third one is shit, first of all. The third one is shit. The only thing entertaining about it is Tom Hardy's performance as Bane, and that's more ironically entertaining. The second one, I mean, damn near, aside from the Heath Ledger Joker bit, it's kind of boring. The Batman Begins is kind of boring. They're not necessarily bad, but they're just kind of fucking boring. I'd rather watch Michael Keaton's Batman again. And yeah, I think Green Lantern's better than all of them. And yeah, I'd probably put Dark. If I had to do my top 5 DC movies, it would be number 1 would be Michael Keaton's Batman. Number 2 would be Wonder Woman. Number 3 would be Watchmen, if you're counting that as a DC movie. If not, number 3 would be Green Lantern. Number 4. Probably like Jonah Hex or something like that. I mean, there's not a lot of really good DC movies, if you're being honest. So he says, Bechtloff, thoughts on the Father James Martin mess on Twitter? I don't know what that is. Christian says, Bechtloff, thoughts on going into the priesthood? Well, I didn't even know you were gay, Christian. So, I mean, that's busting your balls. Bechtloff, do you ever notice every Batman movie series gets worse with each movie? Yeah, they can never seem, well, I mean, Nolan's did, and Nolan's peaked in the second. But yeah, that's something, you know, you can never seem to really build up. Scooby-Doo has better movies than DC. Scooby-Doo Zombie Island is actually a pretty damn good movie. Like, no lie. Bechtloff, you ever watch the animated Batman movies or DC animated movies? I've watched a few of the animated DC movies. A lot of them are really pretty good. In fact, I was just talking about the Batman and Harley Quinn one that came out recently, a few streams ago, I guess. Somebody in the chat says, the priesthood is great. Free room and board, and all the altar boys you can rape. Yeah, no, those. If you get high enough up in the power structure, you get those sweet coke fueled orgies at the Vatican. Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers is the greatest Scooby-Doo movie. No, it's not. No, Zombie Island is probably the absolute peak of Scooby-Doo as a franchise. And I loved Scooby-Doo as a kid too. That was one of my favorite cartoons. Scooby-Doo could do no wrong. And I remember being in high school when Zombie Island came out, and it It had the story that the live action Scooby-Doo should have had. So he says, come on, Jonah Hex better than Dark Knight. I would rather watch Jonah Hex than Dark Knight, yes. Josh Brolin gives a fantastic performance in that movie. Anyone else coming back from Kingsman 2? Great flick, not as good as the first. Surprised to see Elton John having a grand old time, given Bechtloff's take on him in later years, on his later years. I mean, I assume you mean Elton John's in that movie, and he seems. Well, I mean, that's a movie. I'm saying when you actually see Elton John interviewed and stuff like that, behind the scenes stuff with him, and I've said this before, he seems very, very angry and miserable. And I've used that as an example of how, gay people just they don't age well. They're not happy in their old years. Because generally, the thing that gives you happiness in your old years is a combination of the fact that A, you've had kids, and possibly they've had kids and whatnot. You have that kind of legacy. And then B, you have, the religious comfort, both through your kids in this world and through your faith in the next world, you believe you will live on. Fags usually have neither. So he says, Bechtloff, have you heard of Justice League Gods and Monsters Chronicles? I mean, I've heard of the animated movie Justice League Gods and Monsters, which is actually really good. Not familiar. Is that like a sequel to it, Chronicles? There was a comic book based off that universe. It was pretty good. Yeah, that was a cool little thing where it was like there was a Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman who are the Justice League in this universe, but like Superman in this universe is actually General Zod's son sent to Earth. Batman is the guy who in the main universe became the Man-Bat creature. In this universe, he just sort of turned himself into a Morbius the Living Vampire type thing, and he became the Batman. And then Wonder Woman is just some person from New Genesis, one of the new gods. And like they're just brutal and they kill motherfuckers and they go all Frank Castle and shit like that on people. It was a pretty good little animated flick though. Bechtloff, is The Incredibles 2 still happening? I don't know. So he says, hardest part is it's so difficult to find a wife. I don't know what that's referring to. I don't know if I missed something in the chat there. By the way, I was on Davis's stream last night. And it was a really good chat on a lot of my issues with Catholicism. I do suggest checking it out. Kaiser came on there and was talking shit. He was on there like, Davis, what do you think of Bechtloff making, poking fun at Catholics and going after Catholics lately? And then I was like, all right, well, I got to step in here. And first, I'm like, Kaiser, it's past your bedtime. Your mom told me to tell you that. See, somebody says, but honestly, Bechtloff, I've been very strict about only wanting to date girls I believe to be virgins, leading to poor dating results. Do you think I should lower my standards? I don't know, man. That's up to you. I can't make that choice for you. Yeah. I mean, I know I can't realistically expect girls I'm seeing to be virgins at this age, and I'm certainly not a virgin myself. So, yeah, I don't really know. I couldn't tell you. Bechtloff, you ever watch the Justice League Flashpoint movie? Yeah, actually, I used to. The animated movie. It was one of the when I worked at that stand that sold the comics at the flea market. We had a little TV set up where we'd play, superhero cartoons, superhero movies, other nerd shit, and that was one of the ones we had, and that was run through the rotation quite a bit. It's not bad. Somebody says, sadly, no virgins left in the West except on 4chan. Anyone looking for a virgin wife has to raid an Amish or Mennonite or Amish colony. Yeah, but you know what the problem with a Amish woman though is, you spread her pussy apart. It's like pulling apart a grilled cheese sandwich. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on that, man. I can't make that decision for you. I mean, I'm certainly not a virgin, so I don't know that I really can get all uppity about any woman I'm dating being a virgin too. I realize it's not quite the same thing for guys as it is for girls, but still, it's close enough that I just don't feel like I can get uppity about that. I mean, like I said, I don't know what to tell you on it. I mean, I had my first three-way with two girls when I was in high school still. So I can't really get on a moral high horse about whether or not she's a virgin, can I? So since Bechtloff, talk about your cooking recipes. I haven't really like played around with any new stuff lately, except I did a lot of stuffed mushrooms where you just take like a portobello cap and fill it with cheese, mozzarella usually, maybe a little bit of Gouda, sun-dried tomatoes, basil, a little bit of chives. Cook that up, then a little bit of the balsamic glaze. That's really good on a lot of stuff. I went to a Mexican restaurant for lunch today. It's a new one in the area, and I had something called a pina loca or pina loca. I don't know. But it was bits of steak, bits of chicken, some peppers and onions, and little chunks of pineapple, all cooked in this kind of chorizo type Mexican marinade or something like that. And some sort of sauce was put on it. And this is all served in half of a hollowed out grilled pineapple. Oh, it was so damn good. Somebody says, ew, what the heck? I'm not sure what that's referring to. Beckloff does mushrooms confirmed. Yes. Yeah, I snort portobello mushrooms. Beckloff takes mushrooms while he's in a threesome with two high school girls. Yeah, well, I'm not banging high school girls now. Don't try to get me all Chris Hansen. But yeah, my high school sweetheart had a little blonde friend of hers that joined us on a few occasions. Beckloff, what's going on with your sidekick situation? I like Luke, but he doesn't talk much. Well, even when Luke doesn't talk, the visuals are a big help. But he's got work issues right now. We'll figure that out. I mean, next month the day's going to get moved anyway. So, let's see. If you feel sick to your stomach marrying a non-virgin, don't go against your morals. At the end of the day, you have to be true to you. Yeah, like I said, I can't tell you what to do on that. Beckloff, isn't it messed up that modern women think basic survival skills like cooking are oppressive? I mean, a lot of the women I've I've dated and known over the years don't really think that, but a lot of them do out there. It's just I haven't wasted my time with some of those types of women. So he says Bechtloff the baller. Yeah, I did okay for a comic book nerd. But yeah, it's learning to cook's quite the good thing. It's not hard. I mean, just heat up some meat, and there's tons of creative things you can look up online to do with it. Grill up a piece of beef or a piece of chicken, and go from there. This is Chad Love. The Virgin podcaster versus the Chad live streamer. Bechtloff, have you ever seen the pedo slayer videos where some guy reviews To Catch a Predator videos? It's pretty funny. It sounds like it. A new comics reformation is needed. I'll second that. Virgin MGTOW versus Chad Love. So yeah, I don't necessarily expect any woman I would marry to be a virgin, but who knows? I mean, I might. I mean, it'd be one thing if I'm marrying somebody much younger, which I've dated younger, because it's the one thing I won't tolerate is I won't tolerate you having a little bastard. That's where I draw the line. It's one thing, that to have fucked around. It's another thing that you are of such poor judgment you can't even stop at the gas station and get a rubber first. He says, so Bechtloff, what retro games are you playing these days? What have I played lately? Oh, I just played through Cool Spot again on the Genesis. That game is insanely underrated. It's far better than any game about a soda mascot has any right to be. I'll tell you that much. In fact, I do want to do a video on that I think I might do a Cool Spot video after the Castlevania video. Now, that wouldn't be that bad video. It would more just be like, you should check this game out. Somebody says, Bechtloff, would you tolerate a woman that had an abortion? I don't really know. I haven't given that issue much thought. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's basically the same level of irresponsibility of having a bastard. Because if a healthy white baby, you can find it at home. There's no reason you have that, keeping it or abortion are the only options. You could just, get it a good home. The thing about that is, and this isn't even a moral position. This is just, there's a certain level of out of sight, out of mind. I mean, look, I accepted a woman I've dated, especially, let's say if she, in her pre-Christian years, may have made any number of mistakes. When you got a little bastard, that's like a mistake I got to deal with all the fucking time. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't really have quite the same level of pro-life views as a lot of you probably do. I don't, like, if I had to draw a line on when I would really take issue with abortion, it would be, when you can show me that there's some sort of brain activity. Like, I don't have any fucking moral qualms against, say, the morning after pill. The little fertilized egg falls out. It's a single fucking cell. I don't care. I can't really look at that and call it a person. I realize other people have a philosophical difference with that, but if you can't show me there's some level of sentience to it, some level of brain activity, I have a hard time calling that any kind of a real person. Um, and I do realize brain activity occurs a lot sooner than most people realize, but still, um, somebody says people shouldn't fornicate in the first place. Well, yeah, but we don't live in should land. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought of that. And presumably, I probably wouldn't know. I mean, if it's something that happened in the past, I mean, that can fuck up a woman psychologically, though. So I mean, there is that to consider. But like I said, I don't really know. I hadn't given it much thought. I mean, you never know with someone like that, where they might end up feeling so damn guilty about it that it warps their ability to truly enjoy sex. Like, somebody who did that before they became a Christian, it might be something that just haunts them. I don't know. Bechtloff, I'd be afraid of marrying a non-virgin is that she'd have references and might cheat. Like she might be able to call up those other guys and cheat on you. I got news for you, dude. Any halfway decent looking woman is being offered dick all the time. All the time. All right. Like half the guys that go up to her and are nice to her, what they're really saying is, would you like some dick? So the idea that, well, I mean, she might cheat on me because she'd have those other guys she could call. Dude, any woman might cheat on you. Don't that's not a consideration. So we say abortion might also hurt chances of having future children. Well, that's really not much of a concern for me. I don't even know if I want kids. I could. I mean, I'm not even like closed off to the idea, but I could take it or leave it. Um, Not to get too personally, but I mean, like, if you don't match up or whatever, like, what do you mean? You packing a small little dick there? I mean, sorry, I busted on you there, but no, I just, you match up just fine. Trust me. If the emotional connection's there, it's really not hard to get the physical connection working right. Honestly, I want the kids I could do with or without a wife. That's why don't you take a seat over here? I don't know what to say. I don't know why. I can't imagine wanting kids more than a wife. You know, I mean, kids are even a temporary season in your life. In theory, they go off and do their own thing. A wife, that's a lifelong thing, man. It's somebody to grow old with. There's no there's no overstating what a wonderful thing that is. He says, I'm more referring of you don't know what you're doing. Well, I mean, yeah, if you're a virgin, I mean, I'm not trying to. I don't know what's going on with you, but I assume you're a virgin. The way you harp on about it, like, yeah, you're gonna have an awkward time. Like, it's gonna be about as graceful as two 15-year-olds in the back of a Volvo. Um, but you get over it. Just schedule a 3-day weekend for your honeymoon. Buy by about halfway through night two, you'll have shit figured out. Yeah, the first time might be a little awkward, you know. Might hurt her, you might, but don't worry, even though it's hurting her, you'll nut in about 10 seconds. So when she's in pain, just assure it'll be over soon. I mean, yeah, it's awkward at first, but you'll get the hang of it. You know, riding a bike's awkward at first, but once you get it down, once you get the rhythm down, there's no stopping you. Not true. My first time, I couldn't finish. That's weird. I mean, it's that's weird. I don't. That doesn't sound right. I mean, we are thoroughly in the retard sex portion of the show, but that's fine. Nah, it's just in my family, people have always gotten more joy from raising a decent child and then shit from someone they inevitably divorce. Well, you're not supposed to be divorced. I mean, trust me, a good marriage is one of the best things you can have in the world. You know, there's nothing better under the sun than having a truly great connection with a good spouse. Um, Porn puts a lot of pressure on guys about their performance. Yeah, you know that's kind of true. You hear about you hear about all the unfair expectations that porn puts on women. Like, what unfair expectations does porn put on women? Be good looking and enthusiastic about the act? No, the unfair expectations is on men. All right, the fucking stunt cocks they got working in porn. You know, and they edit that shit because a lot of times those guys fuck for a while, then take a break, then come back and fuck for a while, then take a break. So you know, it looks like they're fucking for like 15 minutes straight. Yeah, Bechtloff helps random internet autists with their sex life. The 3 hour show. Um, Somebody says abortion is voluntary genocide. Let leftists abort themselves into extinction. You know, that's not a half bad argument for keeping it legal. I've often said, you know, it's fine if you want to outlaw abortion. I can understand your position there, right wingers. But maybe, just maybe, you ought to try and phase the welfare state out first so that you don't just inexplicably end up with your political enemies outbreeding you with a factor of 10 to 1. I mean, like, I'd like to legalize drugs if it were up to me. I don't think the government has any business fighting the drug war. I think it's an absolute disaster financially. It's an absolute disaster for just overall freedom in this country, overall civil rights and whatnot. Um, I think it leads to massive abuses of power from the police. So yeah, if it were up to me, I'd legalize all the drugs. But I tell you this right now, I'd phase the welfare state out first. Because yeah, I don't care if you want to get high in the privacy of your own basement, but I don't particularly want to subsidize it. So he says, you know, I'm sitting at home on a Friday night listening to some neat, and the thought does come across my head, maybe I should get my shit together. Well, what else would you be doing on a Friday night? Were you gonna go hit the club? Gonna go hit the club? I didn't like hitting the club when I was 10 years younger. When I was 15 years younger. The club sucks. Um, Legalize drugs, welfare, and abortion. Black Lives Matter becomes a standing cracked out army. Um, fuck the club. I'm playing Civ 5 and listening to Bechtloff. Um, she says, "Nah, I'm not insulting you, Bechtloff, but Jolly said something about my relationship questions." Um, let's see. Well, Beckloff, you see what Mary Jane in Marvel looks like now? LOL, you'll commit suicide. Yeah, they stopped making Marvel comics, didn't they? They don't make those anymore. Um, I mean, it's kind of a shame. I liked them. I think they should start making them again, but apparently they don't. Which is, I thought the entire chat was centered around insulting each other. That's what I like to do. I like to shit post when Davis is streaming. Like half the time, that's more entertaining than coming on. There'll be times I'll be shit posting, and Davis is like, "You want to come on?" I'm like, "Nah, I just want to shit post." And every time Davis mentions like drinking Starbucks, I'm like, I'm like, does that Starbucks come with a butt plug? Um, let's see. Uh, Chat going on for here. Ugh. But yeah, coming back to it, to marry a virgin thing. I mean, yeah, that's great. I just, you're a lot younger than me. I imagine I can't. I'm 30 fucking 4. I can't really expect that at my age. If a woman's gone, if a woman is my age and still a virgin, she might be batshit insane. Um, Davis Reed says butt plugs aren't gay. Um, Good old shit posting. So he says butt plugs aren't gay if whites do it. Yeah, that's well, butt plugs really are the last stand of implicit white identity. Um, Beckloff, you could always go with the Muhammad model. I'm not sure what that is. Um, Some girls still virgins at age 12. Some of them, not the one Stephen King writes though. I So apparently, and I haven't read the book, but I've researched online. This is true. Apparently, in the book It, and I'll be doing a review of both movie versions of It on Sunday. But in the book version, there is an 11-year-old gangbang, and the character that's very clearly a stand-in for Stephen King in this book, he gets sloppy six, not seconds, not thirds, not fourths or fifths, but sixth place, motherfucker. Um, Richard Spencer is planning a march with guns. Oh, I'm getting back to Bubsy. What could possibly go wrong? Because Richard Spencer, he really brings out the kind of mature, rational people who should definitely be walking down the street with firearms. Zach the Bong Ripper says, "Went to bed too early and just woke up. What's up, everyone?" Yeah, it happens to me sometimes. Like if I'm kind of sick, or maybe I got like a bad migraine, I'm trying to lay down or something like that, and I end up crashing really early in the evening, like 6 or 7 or something. Then I end up waking up like 11:30, 12:30, 1 o'clock or something, wide awake. Whenever you think you're an idiot, just Google what Richard Spencer is up to. Bechtloff, you think old Dickie Spencer is a fed? No, he's just an attention whore. I don't believe he really gives a fuck in his heart of hearts about any cause other than just, a constant hot load of attention splashed in his face. So he says Arini is planning a march with butt plugs. I'm kind of surprised Richard Spencer is. Actually, very on the down low, all of Richard Spencer's marches have been with butt plugs. At best, he is a honeypot. Again, I don't think he's a Fed. I think I think the opposition very clearly likes having him out there. It's no coincidence that immediately after Charlottesville, Cantwell got deplatformed off of everything from YouTube to OK fucking Cupid. Meanwhile, Richard Spencer doesn't get thrown off anything. I don't think Richard Spencer's is Fed. I think he's an idiot. Yeah, he's just an idiot. I mean, the whole fucking lot of these idiots, the whole fucking lot of these losers. Now, again, I'm not a white nationalist myself, so you can call me a cuck because, I'd rather go to a black church than a white bathhouse. But, when I think of the people involved who are the adults in the room, I think of somebody like Jared Taylor. I think of somebody like Ramsey Paul, those are actual reasonable adults who could lead a movement. And ironically enough, they're usually called cucks by the rank and file. Arini says, is it okay to buy a butt plug with peacock feathers coming out of it for your woman if you're married? I guess. I mean, I'm not going to tell you no. Yeah. Bechtloff likes to swirl, no harm, no foul. Well, I don't find many black women attractive, but there have been a few I've known over the years that I'd probably be willing to make a mulatto with. How the white nationalist treats Ramsey Paul makes me proud. I just call myself a nationalist like most reasonable people do. Ramsey Paul's a little goofy, though. Yeah, but I mean, he's certainly more of a leader than fucking Spencer or Grinder Greg. I saw young Halle Berry once when I was a kid, Woodbank. She's actually a half-breed, though. I tell you what, though, mulatto women are often extremely hot, in my opinion. Halle Berry's pretty hot. I mean, she's a shit actress, but she's pretty hot. Mariah Carey is fucking gorgeous. How Mariah Carey didn't look bad now, and she's like 104. And when I was a kid, there were these two girls lived up the street from me, and they looked so much alike. It was weird. They were 4 years apart in age, but it was like twins that had somehow been born 4 years apart. That's how much alike they looked. Damn, they were smoking. I mean, obviously, ginger women are the far superior type of woman, but quite a few mulattoes out there, not too shabby. Spencer needs to just go away. Well, Spencer will never go away. In fact, he's such an attention whore. I'm pretty sure if nobody was observing him, he would cease to exist. He's just some sort of figment of our collective imaginations. That's how much of an attention whore he is. So he says, "Gur, why are you taking the black women?" It's kind of funny. As much as you see the media push like this narrative that all white women secretly crave the soul pole, because almost anytime you see an interracial couple portrayed, it's a black guy with a white chick. When actually the inverse is much, 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 much more common. Because see, women like to date up. White guys generally have higher status. Um, Black chick love to get her hands on a white guy because she's moving on up to the east side when that happens. Deluxe apartment in the sky, my friends. Um, with black guys with white chicks, it's just I mean, with the exception of your occasional high status rapper or basketball player, most brothers can't get themselves anything but the bottom rung of white women. You look at like the data on dating sites, and they show what men get responded to most by the different subsets of women and stuff. Like white guys get the most responses from white girls. They get the most responses from Asian girls. Usually, they get close to half the responses from black girls, and then black guys the only one that they get significant amount of responses from are from black women. So he says big black cock is a myth. Yeah, that actually is. I realize it's largely a joke site, but they're often reasonably accurate. Um, Encyclopedia Dramatica has a really good article on that being a myth, and they cite a lot of statistics worldwide and shit like that. Um, let's see. Bechtloff, I tease my black buddies that while they're busy with white women, black women take the chance to escape the ghetto to white guys. Um, let's see. Scroll up a little bit. Black guys and white chicks is more common on the low, and because messed up white women can still date a black guy. And yeah, that's why you end up with the really, really fat white women with the black dude. Because it's where a black guy will fuck a refrigerator as long as it's white. Um, so he says, I see fat chicks, fat white chicks in Brooklyn with either half breeds or dindus. I rarely see a brother with a hot white chick. Yeah, you really do. And again, as much as like the media and especially fucking porn would like to promote that idea, like it's just not, it doesn't happen. There was actually an article I saw recently where they revealed some. I didn't read the whole article because it was like Yahoo News and it was so poorly written. But apparently Paris Hilton had said in private, like, I would never touch a black guy. But yeah, I think the only white chicks that fuck black guys are, like maybe like feminist chicks because their cuck boyfriends set up a date for them. But they're just being good little girls and fighting white privilege with that. Um, They pay porn stars double to do interracial scenes. That's interesting. I've heard that too. Um, Bechtloff, can we take this time to reflect on the great show that was Bella and the Bulldogs? Well, Bella and the Bulldogs introduced me to Common Filth. So because I had seen the rumors about it and all the stuff, and he was the one that put together a really good video on it. So yeah, it's because of Bella and the Bulldogs I know about Common Filth. Um, Bechtloff, when I went to Jamaica with an ex, I saw this obese land whale with a skinny black dude. Looked like he did scuba gear in a flashlight. It's funny. It was it's one guy I used to see at a comic book store a lot. And he seemed really cool, and so I don't want to disparage him, but he was a black dude, and he'd come in and he'd be looking for stuff, and I'd see him around. And he had this, I guess, girlfriend that was one of the fattest white chicks I ever seen. And I always had to fight laughter when I saw it because it was just. And again, he seemed like a nice guy, so I didn't want to be a dick, And if they're happy together, good for them, I guess. But I just had to laugh. Like I had to fight laughter every time I saw him because it was just such a walking stereotype. Like it couldn't have been any funnier if he'd have come in with like a bucket of Popeye's chicken and a watermelon. uh, Beckloff, would you let yourself be cucked by a black dude in exchange for having a good YouTube channel and entertaining live stream? I know some prices are too high. Although I tell you what, some of the bitches I've dated in the past, brothers can have them. Uh, um, Beckloff, I owe my love of comics and my knowledge of superheroes to an old friend of mine who's a black dude. They aren't all fucked up. Honestly, I have like two best friends right now, and one of them's white. But most of my life, my best friends have not been white. Like in middle school, my two best friends were black. All through high school, basically, my best friend was Native American, and then into my, he's one of my best friends now. He's one of my two best friends even to this day. So I've up until I met my other really really close friend, I used to joke, I haven't. You can call me a racist all you want. I haven't had a white best friend since elementary school. Beckloff, I think Jolly wants Delta to cuck you while he watches. Well, if he watches me being cucked, it's that's like cuckception. That makes him like a cuckold squared. Um, let's see. Beckloff doesn't know that he is his Native American friend's spirit animal. Yeah, it's a Bulbasaur is a spirit animal. Uh, when we were in high school at one time, I had a history class with him, and he was sick for something. And I actually said to the history teacher when she's like, is I'm not going to say his name here, but is Tom not here? And I'm like, nah, government sent him some blankets. He hadn't felt well since. And she was a history teacher and didn't get the joke. Um, Somebody says you can't say you have black friends, Bechtloff. That's more racist than saying you don't have black friends. Well, like anytime like a black person accuses me of hating black people, I'll just say to them, hey, my best friend is Native American, and that's close enough. Bechtloff whitewashing his Indian friend's name. I have a bunch of cool stories from high school at him. He's the one, I think I told this story on here before, but he was the one that was doing the high school wrestling. And I used to tease him that, the wrestling was so fucking gay. He's like, it's not gay, you're being immature. And then, one time it's like Friday, I'm like, hey, you want to hang out after school? He's like, no, I got wrestling practice. I'm like, that's so gay. He's like, whatever, you're being immature. But sure enough, around 5 o'clock, he calls me that evening. He's like, you want to hang out? I'm like, well, what happened to wrestling practice? I don't want to talk about it. Well, finally that weekend, I got him to talk about it. He was supposed to wrestle. So it wasn't even practice. I think it was an actual meet. Now I think about it. He was supposed to wrestle somebody from some other school. And this person is like coming to the mat with like half a chub. And I mean, I think you're supposed to wear cups or something. I don't even know how that fucking happened. But he's all like, I'm not wrestling that guy. Look at him. And the coach is like, no, this shit happens. You're being immature. Get in there and wrestle. And he was like, fuck this, and walked away from it. And I'm like, well, you were the only, like, he often gets embarrassed by that story if, like, I tell it to new friends of ours. And I'm like, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You're the only sane person in the room. Somebody says, I love minorities. I think everyone should own one. Let's see. Bechtloff loves this dick story. It is very funny. I get very amused by it. Can you get an erection in wrestling, or is that like a technical foul? Well, I used to joke with him all the time. I'm like, for all we know, that guy won like state championship. Like, that was his fucking strategy to get everyone to concede right away. He went all the way to state finals without ever having to wrestle once. Somebody says, I saw on Twitter you get annoyed with Ian from the CU podcast. What do you do now? For those of you who don't know, that's the podcast Pat the NES Punk does. And on his YouTube channel, there's little snippets of it. And he has his friend Ian, or whatever. Ian, I guess it is. He has his friend Ian on there. And Ian is a whiny SJW fucking giant fucking mangina. And the one thing somebody posted, and it was this quote Ian had where he was talking about PewDiePie had said the N-word recently, and Ian's whole like, PewDiePie's heart is a sewage pump. And then they show all this insane levels of philanthropy and charity stuff PewDiePie has done over years. PewDiePie, by all count, seems like just one of the nicest, most chill motherfuckers you could hope to meet. I mean, I've never found his stuff very entertaining. It's not for me, but he seems super chill, and he deserves his success. Ian, on the other hand, is a whiny little faggot. Now, I understand why Pat has him on, because it's very, very helpful to have somebody to bounce things off of. I can tell you from experience doing this show, having a sidekick is a godsend. Even if they're not doing a ton, just having them there to bounce things off of, especially when you're live, it's priceless. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to do this live without at least the chat to bounce ideas off, to have ideas bounced off me. That said, though, Pat seems super cool. I've actually met him at a couple of these cons before. I mean, met him. I shook his hand and said nice videos, and I had him sign the big NES guide he did. It's not like him and I are fucking buddies. It sounds weird when you say I met him there, like he'd fucking remember. You know what I mean? But yeah, I met him at these cons. He seems absolutely super chill, incredibly professional. Like I had a Trump hat on the first time I met him, and it was right before the election. It was the weekend before the election, and he was really nice. He's like, "Oh yeah, the election's this weekend. But you're excited." No, he didn't like. I don't know what Pat's politics are. He doesn't shove them down everyone's throat, but he's not a dick towards anybody about it. Which is somebody in an entertaining position like him should be. Ian, however, is a whiny little fucking faggot. I actually won't even click on the little snippets where they're talking about really political issues because I don't want to hear Ian's bitchiness about it. Like honestly, Pat, you need a better sidekick. Let's see. Scroll through. While I was ranting there, the chat kept going on. Let me catch back up to the chat here. Bechtloff, when are you going to evolve into a Venusaur? Well, we'll see. Who is the worst person you could imagine having on your show for a debate, not Movie Bob? I don't know. Here's the thing, and this is kind of it's kind of unique in me. I don't really have a great deal of interest in having debates. What I find more interesting, and I've tried to do this a couple of times, and sometimes it's blown up. Like I had the literal creationist on here, and yeah, Undertow spilled spaghetti that day, and it was a big mess. But what I find fascinating is more just to be able to ask them questions. I don't even know how entertaining that is to the audience, but I'm not necessarily interested in winning a debate with them. It's more just that like I had that tranny on here the one time, Robin, and then there was, the person was very nice, and it was a polite back and forth. But I was more just interested in being able to ask these questions that I don't normally get to ask them. So likewise, I don't have a great deal of interest in being in debates. Even when I was in that debate with, I was alongside Pastor Tom, and we were debating some Catholics over, whether the papacy is biblical or even just a good idea. And I was more just asking questions on the, nature of the papal doctrine, because to me it always sounds like, the Pope is infallible except when he's not. Well, everybody's infallible except when they're not, if you think about it. So yeah, I find that more interesting to just be able to ask questions. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a lot of interest in a debate. Like I'm going to win. I don't care. I don't care about winning. I care about let's get to the truth. Now, yeah, I have my own biases. I have my own ego and stuff like that. It's not like I'm this perfect, objective, lay intellectual who's only after the truth. But in my heart of hearts, that is what I want. As imperfectly as I pursue it, that is what I pursue. Let's see. Bechtloff will evolve into Ivysaur once I get 1,600 subs. Yes, I think that's what I'll do. I haven't even decided the amount, but I'll pick a subscriber amount, and that's when we'll change the avatar to an Ivysaur. Probably closer to 2,000, but we'll see. Bechtloff, did you see Pelosi lose control over Dreamers? Yeah, I did see that. That was it was similar to when those two fat hood rats threw Bernie off the stage. But yeah, that was a classic, the good doctor lost control of the monster moment right there. Anyone know the date for that creationist debate? Would like to listen to it again? I couldn't tell you. Let's see. What's Sam Hyde up to? Not sure. Bechtloff, what's your opinion on the Planet Hulk story arc? I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Um, yeah, all in all, I thought it was solid. Um, I remember a buddy of mine was super amped for it. My best friend from high school, because he's a huge fan of the Hulk and he's a huge fan of Conan, and that story arc sort of smashes the two together, as it were. Actually, it's almost more Hulk meets John Carter, or not Connor, John Carter, of Mars. Um, but it's a pretty damn solid story arc. The premise is it was right before Civil War. A bunch of the kind of leaders of the Marvel universe, as it were, Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, um, they all kind of got together and said, the Hulk's a big old fucking problem. Let's get rid of him. You got to go, Bruce. So they sent him. They tricked him into being on a rocket ship and sent him to what was supposed to be this peaceful planet where he could just live out. There was game there. He could hunt and he just could live out the rest of his days there, not hurting anybody. Well, the rocket ship is, of course, derailed, and he gets sent to this just fucking barbarian hellscape planet where he's basically got to be, you know, warrior Hulk, and he's that armor that he has in Thor Ragnarok. That's taken directly from the Planet Hulk storyline. So yeah, I really recommend checking that out if you're at all interested in the Hulk. You'll get a kick out of it. Beckloff, thoughts on all the natural disasters? Think God is sending us a message, or is it just natural disasters? It's just natural disasters. Beckloff, is the Crow part of any comic universe? That movie was good. I don't believe it is. I think it's an independently owned thing. I don't think it's part. I know it's not a part of Marvel and DC. I don't believe it's shared universe with anything else. There may have been some like crossovers and all, but I don't think any of them are canon with it. Beckloff, what happened to Hulk's son Scar? Is that character still around? I'm really not sure. Beckloff, thoughts on SpongeBob? SpongeBob I never got into. It was a little after my time. I mean, I was still watching some cartoons when SpongeBob premiered, but I just never got into SpongeBob. Even back in its kind of glory days, quote unquote. It was not something I ever got into. How long have I been going on? Ooh, about an hour and a half. Probably wrap this up. Yeah, I think I'll wrap this up. Alrighty. Yeah, that's all I got for tonight, folks. Saturday show will be tomorrow night, so check that out. Sunday will be the show or the stream on both versions of Stephen King's It. So check that out. Also, if you would like to sponsor a live stream, there's two ways you can do it. Number one, you can actually have an ad during one of my live streams. You can either pay for the regular Saturday show or some of the weekday shows. The weekday shows are cost half as much because they get about half as much audience. If you have a product to shill. If you don't have a product to shill, it's a little bit more expensive, but you can do like these 2-pack or now, three people have done it now where you pay for me to talk about a certain topic for no less than an hour. That is charged roughly $10 an hour, meaning $10 for the stream and then $10 an hour for the show prep, which could just amount to maybe an hour of research. Or if it's, I got to watch movies, obviously that's going to take longer kind of thing. That's the basic rate I've decided on. Yeah. And if you absolutely have to have Luke in there for the visuals, that might cost a little extra too, because I would want to throw him a few bucks. I mean, Luke might end up on it either way, but if it's a must, you got to let me know. And also, if you enjoy the show and you don't have a topic you want me to cover, you don't have a product you want me to show, you can just hit that PayPal button there, and you can send me some motherfucking shekels. Motherfucking shekels. That's what I need, folks. I need you to send them shekels. I kind of like when people send like funny amounts too. Like I've had people send like $14.88, or I've had people send like $17.17 or $17.76 or something like that. That's always kind of funny, you know. But tips of any size are greatly appreciated. Even if it's just $1, greatly appreciated. Yeah, and also, you can follow me on the Gab, on the Twitter, the Facebook. I mean, for at least as long as the Gab is still a fucking thing. It's the Bechtloff on all those places. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, folks, that's all I got for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.